Okay, so I think we're back. Corbin, go ahead and say
We're
something.
so back.
Yeah, okay. We're back. A couple of a couple things seem to be a little wonky and a little broken. Um, Audio levels look like they're a little off too. Uh,
I have to open the chat again because YouTube's stupid.
yeah.
Good times. Um, yeah, so I think there was probably a lot of that Android AOSP discussion that got cut off. I will also point out because it's on my desk, so I remembered it, is that I do have a Linux phone that I need to do more um, articles about and try it again because I've not tried this in a while. This is an original. I don't think it's a PinePhone Pro. I think it's the normal PinePhone, and this is the UB ports version, which was the project to keep Ubuntu Touch going, which I don't think is going all that well. Um, but there is like post market OS and stuff that I need to check out. So I'll do that eventually and maybe write about it. But it is nice that I can just take the back off of this and mess with all the hardware toggles. And there is no longer a micro SD card in here, so I need to find another one. But anyway.
Makes sense. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I think an audio driver crashed. Um, at least that's the best guess I have at the moment. And for whatever reason, it brought down other things and seems to have broken some of my setup. So I probably just need to do, I don't know, maybe a full reboot. Well, I did do a full reboot, but I don't know. Maybe I need to delete the drivers that are there and reinstall them and hope that works. I don't know. As always, we'll see. Last thing I want to be messing with this week, but uh, I'll hopefully sort it out by next week, or maybe it'll sort itself out. You never know. Um. Anyway, yeah, I doubt there was really all that much that we missed. It seems like the audio only cut out probably just in that last couple minutes of discussion. And my position by and large was just AOSP. I don't think most people are actually going to care that much about the change. Um, if we're just being sort of brutally honest about it, it just it matters, but it doesn't matter so much that very many people are going to care. At least hopefully not. We could end up being
Yep.
surprised. It's always tough to predict that stuff, but I don't think that this has much of an impact. What's more likely going to matter is uh, just the general fact that this is another thing kind of sadly changing about Google and Android that doesn't have to, but it is. And Google's probably doing it just to save a few bucks in labor. And that's it. Like there's just not much more to tell. Um
Yep. So I guess that's it for that one. The next thing we're going to talk about is actually CES related. One of the few kind of, at least somewhat to me, interesting things from CES, which was AMD and Intel announcing new processors. So I didn't go like super duper deep on the new AMD stuff. Kind of the broad strokes is they showed off some new AMD Ryzen AI chips, which is sort of their like Intel Core Ultra equivalent, like the chips they're putting in the nice laptops and small form factor PCs. Some small upgrades there. Um, again, mostly just like slight performance increase, hopefully better battery life. There was new Ryzen AI Max Plus chips, which are more the ones that are going in like the framework desktop and some HP PCs. Those are their chips that are kind of closest to Apple Silicon in that they share memory across the GPU and CPU and usually have a lot of memory. Like was the configurations they were talking about here was like 96 gigs of shared memory across. So kind of the same again, it's the specific chips they announced. They did not announce ones that are better than what they had, just a lot more options in that range, I would assume, for more memory configurations. But basically the same use cases like you would do on a Mac Studio or spec'd up Mac Mini. Like you want the big chungus local generative AI model. You want other workflows that benefit from just a shit ton of VRAM when you need it. So that kind of stuff. I am interested in that specifically also because it's kind of a good balance of I want a small form factor desktop that is a little bit more power efficient because you can get something that's, you know, not going to be more performant than like a high-end gaming PC, but like it's good enough and it's all in one little self-contained package, which is nice. They also showed off the AMD Ryzen 7 9850X 3D, which is a lot of letters and numbers, but basically that is a faster clock speed on their best gaming CPU. So the chip that this replaces or is a slight upgrade to is the Ryzen 9800X 3D, and that's the one that's like I think 6 core 12 thread. The 3D is the 3D NAND that they're stacking on the chip, so there's just a fuck ton of CPU cache, and there's some games that benefit a lot from that. Other ones not so much. The actual like amount of cache has not changed. It's just a core speed boost, core clock increase. So a little bit faster. That's nice. And that's really it. The they didn't announce anything like new super high end, just a lot more of like mid-range CPUs that probably most people are looking for. So that's nice. I like seeing the new Ryzen AI Max stuff because again, that is kind of the closest that I think the x86 ecosystem is getting to Apple Silicon, which is still not close. Unfortunately, like there's still not like really a PC laptop that's matching the power efficiency that Apple's putting out, unfortunately. I hope that will eventually be the case because I would like options besides another MacBook. You know, with the various shenanigans that Apple pulls, I do sometimes yearn for desktop Linux once again, but then I remember that like sleep mode never worked and half the apps I like aren't there. So I would like the hardware to continue getting better. And also on that note, Qualcomm did announce the new Snapdragon chip. I forgot to put in the list, but really it doesn't matter. It's just uh, it's like their new mid-range chip kind of. They already had the Snapdragon X Elite, X2 Elite. They're like high-end PC chip. They just announced an X2 Plus, so like one tier below that. So I don't care. Um, I would still really like anyone else to try making an ARM chip for PCs. So far, no one has, despite the rumors of NVIDIA, MediaTek. I think someone else. None of that has materialized yet. So it's still the modem company that got tricked into making processors where all that is happening, and it's disappointing. Um, and
Yeah, it
then,
seems wild to me that there hasn't been more progress here.
yeah, I was disappointed. I wanted to see, especially some like Windows ARM mini PCs. but I guess especially in that form factor, the trade-offs of Windows occasionally not working how you would expect it to are not worth it because power efficiency really doesn't matter on a desktop. Um,
I wouldn't
at
say
least
that.
when it gets in the way of like application compatibility, the trade-offs
Yeah.
are not worth it. Like if I'm HP and I'm like, okay, I can stick a low watt Intel CPU in this, or I can stick a Snapdragon chip. I'm probably just gonna do the Intel. The trade-offs are not worth it.
Hmm.
Um, so that's kind of the AMD stuff. Nothing like super duper crazy. Just kind of like, oh, if you're gonna build a new gaming PC soon, you pick that CPU, and these Zen chips will show up in a bunch of laptops in the near future. Um, and then I guess probably Intel had the better show this time around. I've not gone super close into this, but basically they showed off their new Intel Core Ultra Series 3, built on their new Intel 18A semiconductor process. So once again, this is the new process that's supposed to save Intel and make them competitive again. If what they're saying is true, it sounds pretty good. But again, I've seen this happen so many times where Intel is like, "Don't worry, guys, this time we've got it." So I'm gonna wait for you know more benchmarks to come out, more real life usage of these chips before I get particularly excited. Because again, I'm not an Intel hater. I would like them to do well because again, this is effectively a duopoly. If AMD is allowed to run the show on its own, then I don't think that's particularly good. Um, so uh, basically, the process increase. They mentioned that um, general performance, battery life improvements. The more interesting bit was they have some Core Ultra X9 and X7 processors. I do not understand the new naming scheme. I don't know what the point was in making a completely different product naming scheme that is just as complicated, if not more complicated, than what it replaced. I I don't get it. Um,
I'm sure Microsoft could explain the logic to you.
Microsoft or Google or any any one of them. But basically, the gist is that the higher end CPUs will have a much better integrated graphics than before. Like Intel was saying that some of these would be comparable to an RTX 4050. Um,
That seems ambitious.
so yeah, so I need to wait to see how well this works. I was looking at specs for a couple of them. One thing that got brought up in the work chat was the potential for some of these, if they're in like a small desktop, to be really solid, like Plex server, home server kind of deal, especially because all of them have uh H.264, H.265, and AV1 encoding and decoding. So that's pretty nifty. Um, so again, we'll see. We'll see how Intel if Intel can pull this off. It sounds good, but again, this has been Intel over and over again. Is we promised we're good this time, and then it's like, oh no, you're still like 2 years behind AMD and like 5 years behind Apple.
Okay, I, I'm gonna go back to what you guys said in work chat. I hate to smash that notion, and I'm not exactly smashing that notion. Um, Here's the thing: the integrated graphics in Intel chips. That was a weird emphasis inflection. Anyway, uh, the integrated graphics that they've been shipping for the last several years have been plenty for a Plex server. It, it what these would have if if any of this is actually legitimate, this would be way overkill for what you need for a Plex server.
Right.
Unlike,
This would be like budget gaming laptop, but without
yeah,
ideally the extra heat and power demands you get from a dedicated GPU.
right. Yeah, so in theory, well, not even in theory, like in practice, the thing is, like, I've tested so many NASAs where they have integrated graphics and they're perfectly good for Plex servers. Like, they're plenty. And that's on Intel chips that were made a couple, 2, 3, 4 years ago. So yeah, you don't. These do not. These are. I mean, I'm sure these would make great Plex server chips too. Like, there's no reason they wouldn't be good for that. But you don't need that at all. This is way bigger and better than what they've been shipping, and what they were shipping was already good enough for that purpose. What this would do is, yes, it would make for good gaming chips, or good gaming devices. Obviously not at the highest end, far from the highest end, but this is the kind of thing where, for a relatively cheap chip, you could get away with, I would say, relatively modern games. Not the highest graphics settings, obviously, but you could go a lot more modern than what we've had. That's a huge step up. I would be a little concerned about having that much running on a single chip, just because the heat output's definitely going to be higher.
Yeah, this is still x86, so
That too.
the usual inefficiencies apply.
Well, that plus, it having both the GPU and CPU running, and the GPU actually having some power behind it, as opposed to some of the older ones. Yeah, I'd worry a little bit about that heat. That just seems like a thing where you're going to have a pretty giant heat sink and fan just to manage it. Yeah. Also, did they say anything about price? I'm assuming not.
Some of the, well, I think all of the Core Ultra chips are like laptop CPUs. They're not like desktop chips that you would buy individually. So it would be pricing for the final machine. And some manufacturers have announced PCs and laptops with these. I don't remember how much they cost, and it would probably vary a lot on, especially RAM amounts. I won't say who it was because I'll probably get in trouble. But there was one company that sent the site a embargo for a new laptop, and I believe it had 16 gigs of RAM as the base, and then 30 minutes before the embargo time lifted, they sent an updated price. It was $400 more expensive. So won't say who it was, but I'm sure the pricing is going to be all over the place, especially because CES is always the event where companies announce their products for the rest of the year. So a lot of the stuff that was announced this week will not actually show up for weeks or months. And who knows what manufacturing will be like by that point.
Or tariffs or anything else.
Yeah, we could get fun new tariffs. That would be entertaining.
Oh, just watch. Suddenly there will be specifically a tariff on RAM. Just because.
Yeah.
That seems like it will go wrong.
The tariffs will exclude Intel because they're now, they've been partially nationalized.
Yes.
So good times.
So
that's That's all I have on the AMD and CPUs, AMD and Intel CPUs. Again, I did not look like super duper all that closely at the Intel stuff, mostly the AMD because that was the one I could look at before it was announced. So I wrote a couple articles about those.
Yeah. I don't know. It sounds interesting. I'd like to see what these actually materialize as, but I'm not really holding my breath that they're going to become like low cost, good, not great, but just good gaming platforms. But you never know. Maybe it could happen.
Yeah, I've not had the chance to use like a modern Intel or AMD powered Ultrabook for an extended period of time because I've just been buying Macs, and my last laptop review unit was one of the first Snapdragon laptops. So,
Hmm.
and probably not reviewing any PCs anytime soon. So, yeah, so okay, so next thing is Asus is probably done making Android phones. Whoops.
Yeah, and this one feels like it was probably the long time coming situation, but yeah, the short version is Asus has confirmed to multiple source or multiple outlets, and apparently, according to Asus, even to partners, that they just don't plan on shipping any phones in 2026. Now, that's not to say that they're not going to technically be selling phones. Anything that they previously launched that was still for sale is going to continue being for sale at least as long as the device would have been otherwise, or supposedly. But oh, and of course the company is going to continue supporting its products. They're not looking to end any support or updates or anything like that. All of those things will continue as normal. However, they're just not going to launch any new products in 2026. Yeah, that's
Yeah, just similar situation as LG where they're done, but
mhm.
like if you have a phone right now, you're fine. You don't really need to panic.
Right. It's sort of. Yeah, this definitely reads like winding down. As a few people have pointed out, this may not necessarily be a total wind down. It could actually be something like a pivot to some other strategy. In theory, Asus could go the white labeling route or something like that. One of the things that Asus kind of never did or didn't do very well was working with like retail partners, particularly in the like cellular provider space. So they didn't have like deals set up with, let's say, AT&T or Verizon to like put their phones on carrier shelves. So yeah, it's um it, yeah, they never really did that, and that was never really their specialty. So in theory, maybe they could go work with other companies that would be more interested in doing that. Will they do that? I honestly don't think so. I think Asus probably recognizes this is not a market that they're really ever going to be that successful in. And I kind of get why. This is a company that made, like, their main models were sort of niche phones that were like more experiments, and the and a line of gaming phones, the ROG phones. That's it. They made oddball stuff. And I can kind of see why that just wasn't ever really going to be very successful in the market, because frankly, their oddball stuff was mostly not really good at the oddball things that they were trying to target. So,
I'm trying to remember if I have an Asus phone. Uh,
I know you
I
reviewed
don't
an
think so.
ROG phone at one time, but I don't have any idea if you got to keep it.
Yeah, I reviewed actually I think I might have given that to someone. But yes, I did review one of the ROG phones. Um but yeah, like my impression of Asus, which is not an educated one because they gave up trying to sell phones in the US years ago. If they ever really did in the first place, I'm not sure. Um was just like they didn't really have anything like stand out about them. Like their software support was just like okay. The hardware was fine, and this is just the end result of the Android ecosystem is that if you're not uh, Samsung,
Yeah.
it's really difficult to make a competitive Android phone, and they just didn't really have anything going for them, which resulted in them going down the LG route of making kind of weird stuff or trying to cater to niches that are niches because the demand is not there. Like they were, bless their heart, they were still going with headphone jacks, which I would love to have on my phones, but um, isn't really a thing that people buy. Most people would shop selectively for. They were in the small phones game for a while. Like their base Zen phone was always like one of the few remaining small Android phones you could buy. But yeah, just didn't work out for them. So it sucks that there's one less company trying to make smartphones, but even when they were around, they weren't particularly competitive or, you know, worthwhile products, unfortunately. So,
Yeah. And so David brings up, and believe me, I would have if he didn't, Sony. Because at this point, like if we're naming off phones that aren't let's leave out the Chinese market for a little bit because obviously that's a pretty separate territory. Um, if we're trying to list off Android manufacturers, at this stage we're down to basically Samsung, Google, OnePlus, Motorola, which I know technically is kind of Chinese, but they still deal with the world at large. And Sony, I guess you could name off a couple of others, but yeah, at that point it's pretty much it. And Sony has obviously been another one of these niche manufacturers. I wouldn't say that they're quite as niche in the sense of their products are definitely still niche, but I think at least among the ones that they've come out with, and if you know what you're doing with them and why you want them, they actually do serve the purpose that they're meant to serve. I'm not sure Asus really found that mark, because at least like the gamer phones kind of, to at least to me, they read as it's a novel idea that's not actually achieving anything. Like they made phones that were kind of clunky and not really any nicer to use, and when it came down to gaming, they weren't really any better to use than just buying like a modern Samsung or Google phone. So yeah, they didn't really make a lot of sense. Sony, at least their stuff, they're putting in like a very large camera sensor, or they're putting in like an HDMI port so you can use your phone as like a field monitor with a camera. They're doing stuff like that. So Sony's things they serve a purpose. They're overpriced. They're certainly limited in other ways, but they do serve a purpose. So like, I'm not going to fault them for that. That being said, yeah, I kind of do wonder how much longer Sony's going to stay in this fight too. The difference is Sony,
I
I don't think Sony tries to sell them. like Asus was bad at trying to sell, but at least I think they were trying. Sony, I'm not convinced that they care.
I mean, I do they sell in Japan? I guess they must if they're still around.
And that's the thing. I don't know
I
that they're even selling them at all. Like, I honestly, genuinely don't know if they have units moving.
I really don't get why they don't uh try the uh PlayStation phone again. Just that seems like an easy slam dunk vertical integration. Like here's your PS5 phone companion, and it's maybe it doesn't even have physical controls because I'm not really sure. Like I would be interested in that, but also there's a lot of gaming phones that are gaming for other reasons, and you can just sell a phone that says PlayStation and bundle it with your cloud thing and your remote play. um I don't know, do some fun device themes. I'm not sure why they won't go down that road, except again, I'm talking from a US perspective. I can see why they don't feel tempted to enter the US smartphone market for all the reasons that Asus and OnePlus and everyone else has failed. But maybe in other places that would be something interesting.
So, I obviously I was thinking we've talked about this several times. And yeah, I think I want to see them try to make a new gaming phone that built on the PlayStation brand and in that ecosystem. Where I worry, and the more I thought about this, the more I'm starting to come around on maybe the reason they're not going to do it is because they would have such a hard time convincing partners to do that. Like approaching game studios that are right now making games for a full-size console and convincing them to step all the way back to making games for a phone. And like, where do you draw the no, I don't want to say where do you draw the lines, but you're asking developers to sort of regress to making games that would be more appropriate, say, 10 years ago. And it's not like game developers can't or won't do this. Plenty of them obviously will, and they're happy to. But then you're also asking them to do it on a device that, by its nature, is also going to be more expensive. It's going to be about the price of a full-size console, if not more. Well, it's definitely going to be more. It's a phone. So, yeah, I don't know that works. What they really need to do is make a new PSP, see if that can be successful, and if that's successful, just make a phone that can do all the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you have an audience that wants to buy into that. And maybe you could do both of them at the same time, but I don't know. I think the challenge is just getting partners on board that are going to want to make games for that platform.
Well, anyway, so that's Asus. They're gone, rest in peace. Still make lots of other good things, though. I have 2 of their routers, and they're pretty good. And last thing we have on the list is a new Pebble. New Pebble just dropped. So if you've forgotten what's happening, Pebble was that e-ink smartwatch from like 2014, 2015. There were a couple different versions of it. There was a round watch. There was a more premium square watch. Pebble got bought by Fitbit and then died, and then Google bought Fitbit. And more recently, Google allowed Pebble to be recreated. The original founder came back, building new hardware. There is a new Pebble watch that I'm not sure if it is shipped yet, but it will soon. That's basically just a more polished version of what already existed. And now there is another Pebble Watch, a Pebble Time Round. Um, or sorry, Pebble Round 2. It is the round 2 of the Pebble Round. And it is just a Pebble Watch, but with a round screen. So looks, again, similar as all the round Wear OS watches. That has no bezel. It's a 1.3-inch color e-paper screen. And they mentioned that thanks to advances in Bluetooth chip technology, battery life lasts for about 2 weeks. And it is super duper thin still, because the Pebble OS is just, pretty efficient. And because it's an e-paper screen, it only uses power when it is updated. And they mentioned that screen is 260 by 260 pixels, which is twice as many pixels as the original Pebble Time Round from years ago. It's got 4 buttons, got touchscreen backlight, water resistance up to 30 meters, lots of sensors, works with iPhones and Android, a bunch of watch faces and apps. I would imagine those watch faces either need to be purpose built for the round or at least updated to look well. But yeah, it looks like a pretty solid watch. I don't think I'm really the market for a Pebble watch anymore, just because if I don't want like a full-blown smartwatch, I would just get my Casio watch and wear that instead. And this is kind of an in-between that doesn't necessarily appeal to me. If I didn't already have an Apple Watch, I might get this, but I do, so I don't particularly, want this. But it's neat that it exists. There is a lot of work going into making the software and SDK, fully open source. So it is kind of a fun, hackable gadget in the way that not many polished products are right now. So that's cool. And you can pre-order it. What is the price? The price is
$199.
Yeah. So that's pretty good. That's like a normal smartwatch price. A little bit less than that, really. I don't know what.
Yeah, it's on the
Apple
low end for
Watches are now.
most smartwatches.
I want to say the normal Apple Watch is $250 now. Jeez, it's $400. That's
yeah,
crazy.
I was gonna say, what are you talking about? Yeah, the
It's
Apple
$400.
Watches
The Apple
are...
Watch SE is $250.
Yeah.
I got my, I think it's a Series 7 or Series 8 for sale a long time ago. And because it's an Apple Watch, I think I'll just use it until it dies, because they don't really change that much.
No, not anymore. They kind of hit a wall when it came to the watches.
Once it got past the hill of not being shit,
Yeah.
it just kind of stopped. It doesn't need to do anything else.
I would say the same is kind of true of Google and Samsung too, because it's not like the Galaxy watches are making particularly big strides with each major release, and then
No.
the the Pixel Watch, like the first one definitely needed a new model. The second one was good. The third one was a worthwhile update, and then the fourth, from everything I've heard, it's just like, why'd they make this? They should have just kept selling a third.
Yeah.
And who knows how things are going to go with the fifth, but I have a funny feeling we're like, I think it's just going to sit at this wall where not a lot really changes from year to year. They'll just get a little bit more powerful and a little better at AI or something, and that'll be about it.
Yeah, I know most of the improvements in the newer Apple Watches is just slightly better sensors. I think my watch doesn't have the like fall detection stuff, or like the whatever else they have, like where it monitors like specifically your blood pressure for changes. So
Well, that's good. You probably
that kind
shouldn't
of
need to
that kind of
worry about
stuff.
those things quite yet.
Well, yeah, I mean, I shouldn't, but that's kind of nice to have, I guess, eventually. Um, Not eventually in the like getting old sense, but eventually in the yeah, it'd probably be good if there was like an automated thing that called 911 if I, you know, suddenly stroke out or something. That seems helpful.
Hmm.
So yeah, new Pebble if you are interested in that. Pretty neat. Um, and that's really it. Again, not a whole lot from like CES that I care to talk about. So that's really it.
All right. Um, well, I I have very little to say about Pebble. I've made my feelings about Pebble known in the past, and yeah, I'm not really interested in it myself. All I can say is I will be sometime very, very, very soon. I'm going to sell that Kickstarter edition Pebble that I have because it's still in box. Someone out there would probably want to have it just for the sake of being like, oh, see, I'm Giga Pebble guy. I really care about Pebble. I need to have all the Pebble things, including a completely untouched original Kickstarter edition Pebble. At least I'm hoping that that person exists because I'd like to make a few dollars off them. Um, let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I had more to say on Pebble. To me this feels like a product that would have had its purpose several years ago, but at this stage, higher end smartwatches, or well, like a Pixel Watch or Apple Watch, I feel like those kind of do. They've kind of reached a good place, or a fairly good place, and I know they have to be charged a lot more often, but that doesn't bother me. They make it through a day plus, like that's usually enough. Um, so I like my watch is plugged in right now since I'm not getting up and doing anything, and uh, when I finish with this, I'm gonna put it back on, and that's it. I don't need it to be charged for 2 weeks and then have to take it off for you know a few hours for it to charge. I can just charge it every day. So to me, that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
okay. But hey, everyone's got different needs. Um, yeah. So I think that about covers it. Did CES give you everything you were hoping you would get?
I was hoping for nothing, so I guess I got more because I had no expectations or desires going in.
Excellent.
So
So CES delivered excellently. I like it.
that's true.
Um, it delivered in all the ways we hope. And well, I was gonna basically make the same comment. So yeah, CES delivered exactly what I wanted. Not much. Um, hey, we all I'm sure wish that CES was gonna be popping up with like some new company saying, "Oh, hey, we're gonna start making RAM," but no such luck. Um, Or, it'd be kind of neat if maybe some new company popped up saying they were going to make a phone. Though, with the way things are going this last year, I would dread to think of what company might pop up saying that they're going to make a phone. The last thing that I think any of us wants is any of the tech companies that exist right now uh, that aren't making one. I don't think we want to see any of them pop up and say they're going to start. Who here wants
No.
a phone made by Facebook? Who wants a phone made by Twitter? Who wants a phone made by insert whatever other company that has contributed to a ballroom recently, and I think I think we can pass on most of those. So yeah, CES, there wasn't a lot of room for anything particularly uplifting. Oh, which, as the title of this stream goes, kind of feels like 2025 all over again. 2026, you're off to a pretty uninspiring year. I hate, like I say,
Yep.
I hate being the guy that craps on everything. I don't want to be that guy. It's just we're not getting a lot this year. At least not yet. It is just the first week, so maybe I'm being too harsh.
There's always hope.
That is true. No, it needed more AI. There was plenty of AI at CES. I'm sure some of that will be making news in the or more relevant or more timely news later this year. But at least in the moment, I'm gonna wait before we get into any of the AI CES stuff, just because, let's be honest, a lot of it's gonna change, if even just because some of it will be reliant or have partnerships with a particular AI company, and some new thing may pop up which suddenly makes some of these products not complete pipe dreams. You never know. Okay. I don't know about you, but I think that's a good place to end it.
Yep.
All right. Well, with that, thanks everyone for coming by, hanging out, being part of the conversation. Austin, David, Nils, good seeing the three of you. Let's see. I will be back this weekend with some game streams, I'm sure. That's pretty much the usual routine. And of course, next week, I will be back with the RambleCast. I believe Corbin will be off on his own adventures. Let's see. And as always, if you enjoyed what you saw here and would like to support the channel, there are links down below to Cash App, Streamlabs, and Patreon. Any little bit helps. And of course, if you're just in the mood to do some shopping, then hit the link to my website, codytoombs.com, and check out the product recommendation page. Click through one of the links there, add something to your shopping cart and buy it. I get a cut of that revenue. And yeah, so that about covers it. I hope everyone has an excellent rest of their evening, a rest of their week, and I will catch you all in the next one. Good night, everybody.
Bye.